So, you know that feeling that when you're sitting there scrolling on your phone, you just try to convince yourself that this is the thing that's finally going to work out, and yet nothing changes. You feel stuck, overwhelmed, and feel like a dog chasing its own tail. And when you're in that sort of place, it's easy to think to yourself, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But here's the truth. Every creative, no matter who you are or where you're starting, hits a wall. It's not a sign that you're failing, it's just all part of the process. The difference is what you do next. So I wrote a couple notes on my laptop just to organize my thoughts on this topic, and hopefully there are a few key takeaways that you can take and apply to yourself as well. Changing the way you think about creating. The biggest shift for me wasn't a new tool or a fancy workflow, it was just how I thought about creating. And for the longest of time, I felt like I needed to get everything right. Every shot, every idea had to be perfect, everything to the T, but it wasn't worth doing, if that kind of makes sense. Making sure that everything is perfect can be very exhausting. Later, I kind of realized that this obsession with perfection was actually hurting my growth, and it wasn't helping me at all. It was holding me back quite a lot. The more I tried to create what others liked, the less I actually liked what I was making. So I flipped it. I stopped worrying about whether people would like it or not and just asked myself, what do I want to make? What feels true to me? What feels the most authentic me? And similar to what Rick Rubin says, I think you just gotta trust your gut feeling and see where it takes you. At first, it wasn't easy, but once I let go of that pressure, like a kid, I just started experimenting again and had fun with the process. It felt like it was coming from a place of authenticity. And I think that's the most important thing for you to sort of internalize the thought that you want to do versus what others would like. And it really shows in the work that you create as well. Once I started experimenting a lot more with my work, I saw a ton of improvements, not because it was perfect, but because it felt real. But let's be real, the mindset itself doesn't get the work done. And what I mean by this is that you still need tools to bring your ideas to life. For me, that's where things really started to click. I stopped trying to do everything the hard way and started leaning into tools that made the process much simpler and easier. For example, MotionArray is a huge one for me. It's about having access to a variety of effects and titles at your fingertips without overcomplicating things. In this past year, I've been all about pushing boundaries to tell stories. One tool that's really stood out for me in 2024 was, of course, MotionArray. They've been helping me out throughout the year. It's been a constant use in my workflow. With what's coming in 2025, it feels like possibilities are endless. So to basically give you guys a little recap, in 2024, MotionArray worked with some of the top designers and studios to deliver us some assets that aren't just useful but very inspiring. They aren't the kinds of tools that you see anywhere else. They make your projects feel fresh, original, and completely your own. Now in 2025, they're diving deeper into fonts. At first glance, you might think fonts aren't really a big of deal, but fonts are a great foundation for creating or discovering your own aesthetics. They shape the vibe of your work and make someone stop scrolling because it just feels right. And with the easy drag and drop feature, I think it's much quicker, much smoother, and it helps you focus on what really matters the most, which is to create something meaningful. Can't forget the AI voiceover tool has been a huge help in doing voiceovers and narration. You get to control the tone and pacing in a way that feels very natural. Pair that with like pro level LUTs and suddenly your visuals have depth and polishes the overall feeling of the video, which again just elevates your whole work to a whole nother level. With the generative AI, it's been a huge game changer as well for anyone who's felt that they were held back by technical hurdles. This is how you can easily get your time back. It helps bridges the gap between your ideas and the final product, especially when you're someone who's first starting out. So one thing that I've really come to appreciate is how much time it really saves me. The filters, the intuitive organization, it all works together to keep you focused on creating, no overthinking, just experimenting and enjoying the process. Looking back at things in 2024, it wasn't just about what I created, it was about how I grew as an artist as well as a storyteller. MotionArray made that growth possible. As I look ahead in 2025, it's not about the limits or perfection, it's about exploring, experimenting, and seeing how far creativity can take me. So for this year, it's all about making it unforgettable and about putting all my effort into one basket and making the best work that I can possibly make. And with the help of MotionArray, I know that's possible. If you guys haven't already, go check out MotionArray. You can check them out in the link in my bio. It not only has made my workflow a lot easier and quicker, it actually has improved the way I go about creating things. Just goes to show that no matter what idea you have, there really isn't any boundaries stopping you from making it come to life. Taking the first steps. Something I wish someone told me a lot earlier is that you don't need to figure out everything from the jump. And what I mean by this is that I spent so much time planning and just trying to have the perfect setup. I kind of realized that the perfect process doesn't really exist. All that planning just became another way to avoid actually doing the work itself. The key isn't knowing exactly where you're going, it's just starting. And sometimes it's as easy as saying to yourself, let's just go with the flow and see what happens. The more you do it and the more you go about it, it gets easier. You stop worrying so much about how things should look and just start figuring out what really works for you. Why your perspective matters. And I think if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video is that your perspective matters. The way you see things, the way you think about things, your environment that you're in all plays a huge role. I think it's so easy in this day and age to compare yourself with other creators that you see on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and feel like you're not measuring up. And you probably hear this so many times, but everyone is running their own race and at their own pace. Just like you, I was comparing myself with other creatives and it was very toxic, and I was putting all this pressure on me that wasn't necessary. And I kind of later found out that the truth is that no one else sees the world exactly the same way that you do, which is a good thing, a very good thing. It can be your competitive advantage to making yourself stand out. And what I mean by this is that no one else has your voice, your experiences, especially not your ideas. And with your ideas, that's what makes your work valuable, right? It's another sort of way of expressing your ideas and putting it out into the world for others to see. It doesn't need to be anything groundbreaking, it just needs to be authentic. It just needs to be yours. And the only way to keep doing this is by creating. Even when it's messy, even when it doesn't feel like it's working, every project and every experiment gets you closer to the work that you're meant to make. Stop trying to be perfect and give yourself more time and room to experiment. Just be a kid again, play around with cameras, editing. Try to not compare yourself as much or put a lot of pressure on yourself. Don't wait around for the perfect idea to come to you. Just start. And remember, where you are now isn't where you're going to stay. Every creator starts somewhere. Ask yourself, where would you like to pivot to? Besides that, if you guys enjoy content like that, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to keep up to date with what I do and my socials. See my work, my portfolio, wherever it may be. Other than that, I'll see you guys later.